Okay, we're back to lectures on political theory, and in this video, we are going to talk about the origins and context of classical Greek political philosophy. We've said that um, political theory could be traced as far as ancient Greece, the classical Greek period, let's say from the 6th to the 5th to the 4th century BC. So that's roughly what we consider to be the classical Greek period. Depends on the historian or the scholar that you're reading. Now, yeah, the history of Western political theory or Western political thought could be traced historically from uh, from the ancient Greeks, from the classical Greek period, and the Greeks basically are very has become very critical of their surroundings, become very critical of their society, what's happening around them. Perhaps one of the reasons is that after the Persian Wars, remember in the Persian Wars, where Persia tried to invade Greece, but Sparta and Athens were there to lead the defense of the free people of Greece, and then the rest is history. Persia was defeated, we all know that. But uh, the more significant implications of that historical event was that the Greek people, who were basically not really oriented with the so-called outside world, has come into contact with the outside world. You see, the Greeks, although as I've said in the previous video that there's no unified kingdom or state or country that unifies the entirety of the Greek peninsula, their loyalty lies within their city states. And these city states are sovereign, meaning to say they're independent, they are free to basically craft their own laws, choose whatever political destiny that they want as a people. See? So we can say that before the Persian War, the Greeks were just looking inwards into themselves. But after the Persian Wars, they came into contact with the outside world. And so that's the time when they began to question many of their beliefs, many of their traditional values. Um, and the thing is also during this time, philosophy basically started, right? Classical Greek philosophy from the 6th and 5th century, in the Ionian settlements, in the city of Miletus was a port city. Basically, philosophy could be traced back there. And not only that, okay, from the pre-Socratics, there came this desire to penetrate beneath experience, meaning to say, uh, you know, the pre-Socratic thinkers are not just simply relying on what they see, but they have come to realize and discover that there could be a deeper reality where uh, the ultimate structure, the pattern of patterns, the logos lies, which could be invisible to the naked eye, and yet it is the source of all of reality. So something to that effect, and they've come to realize that. So they've come to a point where they're trying to look for this objective natural order, objective natural law that influences everything that is happening in the cosmos. In the previous video, we said that Socrates believed that, only that the innovation of Socrates was that he used that idea to study the inner life of a person, because the pre-Socratic thinkers, they are more focused on the cosmos, the physics, the I mean what's happening around us. Socrates, on the other hand, and later on Plato and Aristotle, and the later thinkers will be more concerned on the inner life of the person, which basically involves the social and political life of a person. Okay, and So basically, the thinkers turned their energies to explaining the nature and origin of the political and social order, because they've seen that there are other forms of government, like Persia as an empire. There are dictatorships, there are democracies like Athens, and so on and so forth. There are many kinds of laws. So they've come to realize that there's actually various ways of life, so to speak. And you see, classical Greek political theory is shaped by these political and social contexts which are happening during their time. And so in this video, we'll be focusing on at least 3 important facets of Greek life: traditional values, laws, nomos. Right? Nomos could be conventional norms, or just norms and laws or customs. And then, of course, the polis, which is actually at the heart of Greek political life. Now, okay, let's talk briefly about the polis. I already alluded to this in the previous video. The polis, as we have said, is sovereign. Okay? It's sovereign, it is independent. So it's more like a state, the kind of state that we know right now. Remember the definition that we have of a state, the 4 elements of the state. A state basically composed of people, territory, government, sovereignty, and even recognition for that matter. Now, the polis could be said to be exercising that same prerogative. It's free, it has its own territory, only not as big as the modern nation state right now. But it's basically independent. It has the capability to foster its own destiny, its own political decisions, how it will negotiate with other city-states, how will it craft its own domestic policies, etc., etc. Okay? So that's what a polis is. It's a sovereign as a state, but it is the what do you call this? How big it is not really that big, and it's as small as a city. That's why it's called a city-state. As sovereign as a state and as small as a city. That's why city-state. So that's what the polis is. So it's a small, self-contained institutional form, right? It's a small, contained institutional form from which it provides an intense political life for the citizens. Citizenship within the polis is integral to the life of ancient Greeks. That's how they see their life. They see their life as an inhabitant of the polis, as a citizen of the polis, who is a part of whatever is happening within the society. So you have there an intense political life. And this is basically the source of political action and even political thinking. How people view politics and government and political institutions and public administration and laws and etc. Social life and even culture. And it involves an active participation in whatever is happening in the society. There's no difference between the social and the political. Your political activities are considered to be the social activities that you have. Right? Unlike right now, people will try to distinguish the political and the social activities, but in ancient Greece, that's really not the case. They're both in the same. So you can say that it's a kind of participatory citizenship. The city-state is also considered as an educational institution, in a sense, because, you see, the polis they're very fond of their laws. Very important in the polis are their laws. And their laws are basically tailored fit to their customs, their traditions, the morals that they believed in since time immemorial. You see, right now, we see the fast-facing changes of our legislations, both local and national legislations. But during that time, changes when it comes to legislations are very slow. And so the ancient Greeks somehow was able to perceive them to be unchanging. As a matter of fact, Plato in the Laws, one of the last dialogues that he wrote, basically believed that law should be immutable, right? In a sense, law should not be temporary. It should be there to forever guide the people. But why is that? Because the Greeks believed that these laws have a connection to something higher. The tradition, the customs, the laws, they call it the nomos. They did not really differentiate, customs and laws. It's really very difficult to differentiate them. But the thing is, both of them came from something higher, right? A kind of natural law, so to speak. And so they have a very high regard of their laws. And basically, their laws and customs and traditions, their culture, even the religion, is in a way the values of the state, the values of the polis, the values of the people. And so it is the duty of the polis and basically its citizens to teach these values to the younger generations in order for stability, for them to be more stable. Because if you have stable laws, stable way of life, see, there will be more stability, which is actually very important during the ancient times. During times where there is war, there's chaos, there's famine, and all these problems, sickness, and what have you, order is very important to them, right? And so, education of the citizens is a matter of fact very important for the polis, a very important undertaking of the polis. There are also various or different forms of government or forms of regimes that we can say, right? There are states that are democratic, like Athens, though Athens is not the only democracy, but Athens throughout the history has become the epitome of ancient democracy in Athens. But there are also tyrannies, dictatorships, monarchies, aristocracies, oligarchies, all of these classifications you can find there, right? But even in non-democratic city-states, you will still find that public life dominated the life within the polis. So, but the polis is not perfect, of course. There are a lot of limitations. There are a lot of limitations for the polis. Say, for instance, there's slavery in the polis. As a matter of fact, even in modern times, slavery was still present, but it was there, and they saw it to be moral. Later on, we'll realize that even Plato and Aristotle will claim that there's really nothing wrong with slavery, right? As a matter of fact, it could be moral, right? Aristotle will say that some people are meant to be slaves because there's some people who really does not think, something to that effect, right? So there's slavery, there's gender inequality, definitely. In Athens is a democracy, right? But of course, not a perfect one. Only men of legal age, so to speak, are allowed to go to the agora, the marketplace, and debate and argue with each other as to the proper political course that the city will take, right? But they don't allow women to do it. They don't allow women to do it. As a matter of fact, in Sparta, women are, let's say, more free compared to Athens, although not completely, right? So it's also limited citizenship. Limited citizenship in the sense that the citizens of the polis are hesitant to accept new citizens, right? There are some polis like Sparta, for instance, who will not, who's really not fond with strangers, with other people, right? So they will not grant them citizenship. They will not even accept them. Athens, on the other hand, well, they accept the foreigners, but they don't easily grant them citizenship. You can go to Athens, you can have your life there, but you're not a citizen. If you're not a citizen, you cannot politically participate. That's the thing, right? Um, there's coming from Demosthenes, right? In his speech, Demosthenes said that mistresses we keep for the sake of pleasure, concubines for the daily care of our persons, but wives to bear us legitimate children and to be faithful guardians of our house. So, that's an example of how ancient Greeks will think, right? It's okay for them to have paramours or to have relations with other people who are not their legal spouses, right? So that's the kind of life that they have in the polis. And the polis, as we have said, is very important in the life of the Greeks, of the ancient Greeks, and it's also very essential and insightful as to how classical Greek thinkers basically formulated their laws.